Hello and welcome to Wealth Manager, where we help make your money work for you. On the show today, we'll tell you all about philanthropy management and we'll get you a special conversation with Nilesh Shah of Kotak Mutual Fund. The concept of philanthropy is slowly but steadily growing in India. What are the ways in which you can give back to society and how can you participate in such activities? I'm joined by Feroze Azeez, Deputy CEO of Anand Rathi Wealth Management, to help understand all about philanthropy. Thanks very much, Feroze, for joining in on the show. So philanthropy is not really a topic that's spoken about too often. So let's start by really understanding the concept and how it's different from donations or charities.
Correct. I think like you rightly pointed out, Avni, it's not a very popular concept. It's not so well spoken about, and the coverage is not so large. So people's knowledge with respect to philanthropy is significantly lower relative to how the globe functions. So now let's look at these three, like you said, donation, charity and philanthropy are taken synonymous in most people's dictionaries, but actually there is a large difference between these three. So donation is actually giving any commodity like your toys, your clothes, anything which is maybe cash, may not be cash, if donated, that's donation. Then if you move on to charity, charity is more of an instant relief, like a painkiller. For example, if there is some kind of a catastrophe like an earthquake and you actually fund the needy there, that is charity, because you're not solving the problem for good, you're just trying to give a painkiller and try to solve the problem at that point in time, and it's more relatively shorter term in nature. As against philanthropy, philanthropy is trying to go to the root cause of the problem and then trying to work towards creating a large institution which can actually make sure that the problem at the root cause is solved. For example, if skill development, skill is low, then you actually work on skill development of youth. That's actually philanthropy. It's neither charity nor donation. So this clarity is very important, so that there is a large focus on philanthropy going forward, at least from the Indian population.
So how can one participate or get involved in philanthropy?
See, there are several areas which one can get involved in, and there are several methods to also participate. So it's a two-dimensional thing, methods of participation and the areas in which he can actually contribute. Now, if you look at the methods of participation, if somebody wants to actually kickstart the whole process, he might not want to actually create a full-fledged institution to actually address the problem. He might not have the wherewithal to do it. So he can probably contribute towards trusts which are already taking up the philanthropic cause. So setting up a trust is a longish kind of an activity, and then trying to fund it might be the thing of the HNI or the ultra HNI. But somebody who's probably starting his career, he can start with donating a portion to trusts which are actually participating in philanthropic activities of his or her interest. So amounts could be as small as 50,000 rupees to a lakh. And to make it more lucrative, there is tax deductions as well, which are available to individuals in participating. Now coming to the areas which are of interest for several people, could be education, could be skill development, could be medication, could be critical illness treatments. These are the few philanthropic activities which could probably have a long-term impact on the society.
And what are the vehicles really that can be used for such activities?
See, there are three vehicles you can actually create. If you are an HNI and you think that it is in your intent to actually pass on some of your wealth after your demise or during your lifetime back to the society where you got it from, in most certain cases, then you should actually you can actually create three vehicles. Three options is what you have, is to create a charitable trust, a society, or lastly an NPO, a non-profit organization. These are the three methods or three vehicles which can be used. But in my opinion, the most simple and the prominent method is creating a charitable trust which can actually also benefit other people to participate along with you much easily on a ad hoc basis as well.
How does one go about opening a trust? What's the process, if you can take us through that?
See, I think the process is far more simpler than it actually intimidates. Charitable trust seems like it's going to be a longish, very longish kind of a process, but it's relatively simpler. You need two people to actually create a trust. One is the trustee and the other is the author. So you need just two people as individuals to start a private trust. Then, after having decided the people involved, then you need to move on to what's going to be the objective of the trust, which is very, very important, so that you can draft the trust deed. A lawyer should be able to help you draft a trust deed, or a private wealth management outfit like ours could help you draft a trust deed, before which you'll have to be crystal clear, in fact, in terms of what your objective is going to be. So that's the second step. The third step is then make a draft trust deed and then go and get it registered in the sub-registrar's office, which is a minuscule cost of about 8-10,000 rupees, which is the negligible cost aspect of creating the registration of the trust. Then it gets more legal sanctity, and then filing this legal document, which has been stamped at the sub-registrar with the commissioner, charitable commissioner, and then having the trustee should also be present during the submission. So this automatically, I think, is more or less the creation aspect, and then you go to a bank, create a bank account, get a PAN card, and all the checkbooks and debit cards. So this full circle helps you create the vehicle. And then for you to go forward in terms of doing the social cause you have chosen.
You also spoke about tax benefits, Feroze. Can you elaborate on what are the kind of tax benefits that come with this?
See, there are two types of trust actually. There's one which is called the 35AC trust, which is generally the relief camps, and if there is some catastrophe and if there is some relief being provided, if you as an individual, if I contribute to a 35AC trust, all the contribution is tax deductible, in the sense my income tax income for that financial year would be reduced to the extent I have paid or donated to the charitable trust, which is registered under 35AC. If that's not the case, if the trust is not 35AC, then there's a limit. The limit is going to be 50% of the 10% of the income which you have. So by which I mean, if somebody has a specific income, the 10% is what he can donate, and whatever he has donated, half that will become tax exempt. So you will not have to pay income tax on half that amount.
And what would you say are the benefits really of getting help from your wealth manager for taking care of this kind of a trust or for this kind of philanthropy?
See, I think it's a pure wealth management activity, because when estate planning and passing it on to your own generations is a part of wealth management, passing it back to the society is also a part of wealth management, because you would, unless the money has been put to good use, it's the wealth manager's job to make sure that it is not just has some purpose. So coming to that's more from a philosophical standpoint, but if you go to why is it important to have a wealth advisor managing this for you, there could be 3-4 reasons. One is, of course, like you Avni rightly pointed out, the legal aspect could be a large, tedious process, and a process which requires technical expertise, which each one who has an intent to do philanthropy might not actually have procured that ability to manage the legal bit. So if a wealth management outfit like ours has a unit which has lawyers and stuff who would probably look at the legal aspect in more detail, that would be one very, very important reason why you would need somebody to manage that for you. Then it's a time consuming process, because time consuming in the sense managing the trust itself could be time consuming. Doing research, which generally people don't end up doing if they are doing it on an individual basis, because you will have to understand the cause and understand how your contribution to that cause will have effectiveness. Otherwise the money spent is not being efficiently utilized. So you will have to do some kind of research work, which an individual standalone basis becomes difficult. And then if you look at developing the whole legacy, for it to carry forward beyond one's life, you need an organizational backing to make sure that there is some degree of future, and not just that the individual is driving it and once he is no more, the institution has a full stop. So these are the 3-4 reasons why a wealth management outfit or a wealth manager whom you've been knowing for so long will be able to take this trust element forward from a philanthropy standpoint, Avni.
And finally, Feroze, what's the kind of interest that you're seeing, especially among the HNIs and ultra HNIs in philanthropy? Is interest in such activities picking up traction?
See, if you look at philanthropy, I think the activity has picked up. I think first, before the activity picks up, the curiosity has picked up significantly, let me say. That's the start point of some activity. The curiosity amongst HNIs has gone up substantially. But I think with some degree of catalyst, somebody acting like a catalyst to actually probe this and get this forward, I think people are wanting to do indirect philanthropy rather than just direct charity. So that's gone up. But one thing, Avni, very importantly, I think philanthropy will take a large uptake in the Indian context if inheritance tax actually is brought up. Like globally, you have large inheritance tax which philanthropy helps mitigate. So in my opinion, I think wealth tax being abolished in India might be a precursor for inheritance tax, and if that comes in, then people would love to actually do philanthropy rather than doing taxation and then indirectly impacting the society. So that will be a game changer when it comes to philanthropy, inheritance tax reintroduction in India, which has not been there for the last 32 years in India. But globally, it's a very large component, as high as 30-50%. I think if that comes in, then philanthropy, definitely people would be more attracted towards philanthropy.
All right, Feroze, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining in today.
Thank you so much.
Time for a short break. We'll come back and get you investment strategies from Nilesh Shah of Kotak Mutual Fund. Stay tuned.